spent time in the belly of the beast.
Yes, sir.
With all the good that you are offering to humanity.
Wow. Praise. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just.
All right, brother. I got the stream, so I'm gonna type this title in.
He's got the stream.
And then,
we're playing the intro right now, to so they can hear it on PB Radio, and he's getting you going here.
Awesome.
There was a reason I was bringing that up. It was something I was going to say to him. What was I going to say to him?
I don't know, but
I hate that. Yeah. Get it, mama.
Got moms on deck.
I'm so blessed. Do you hear me, brother? I am so blessed.
Yes,
I'm so blessed. And thankful to God. That's Brother Lucky. I told him, he said he was going to call back. I told him that's fine. We was going to do this. Facebook, Kermit Muhammad is live now. The blackest show on the web. Yes. I love it. I love it. We're so blessed, Mom. Let me turn this volume up. Oh, yeah, you can sing too. That's right.
I know these people online.
Come on now, brother. Yes, sir. Look, we're going to have to do a collaboration of some sort if I can remember how to sing.
All right, y'all get on. I know y'all can hear me. Y'all can hear Brother Rashad singing in the background. Sister Vicky. Y'all get on. Tell all your partners. Tell all your friends.
Yes.
All right, family. We're going to start this intro right now.
Okay.
Not right now.
But
right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's right.
No one can make an intelligent decision without being properly informed. This is why this world wants to control the media. This is why media hype can take you up, take you down. So you don't know anymore who's really good, because the media can make a wicked man look good and make a good man look evil. That is why.
Peace, family. Assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Herman, Supreme Style Muhammad.
Yes,
and you're watching a very special edition of the Final Call News Hour.
Yes.
If you could, family, if you got your headsets in or you're watching the show, let me know how our sound is, because I'm not for sure. So, but today we have a special edition of the Final Call, and let me tell you a little bit about the Final Call News Hour. The Final Call News Hour is the partner of the Final Call newspaper, which is the boldest, blackest, coldest newspaper on earth.
Come on now.
Right? And it's the most widely circulated black-owned and operated publication in the world.
Yes.
Not just in this country, but in the world. It also serves as the communications organ for the Nation of Islam. You can pick up your Final Call at Supreme Style Barbers here in Denver. That's at 7520 East Colfax Avenue. Let me show you a picture of Supreme Style Barbers.
All right.
Pick up that latest Final Call. And y'all let me know how this video sound now. You know what I'm saying? I see it beeping, but I can't hear anything, so I need your help on that. Pick up your Final Call there. Or if you live on a mountain, but you happen to have internet access, you could always pick up your final call digitally at digital.finalcall.com. Again, my name is Brother Herman Muhammad.
Yes.
And I'm joined today by, we've got so much going on. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
We got so much going on today. We got our sister, we've joined the Final Call News Hour again with On Purpose with Vicky.
Yay.
We have sitting next to me, Sister Vicky's in the building.
Yes, assalamu alaikum, shalom, grace and peace, family.
Awesome. So, like I said, today we have a very, 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 very special show because we have a very special guest.
We do indeed.
And all the way live from Memphis, Tennessee.
Whoa.
AKA the city of the dead. The Egyptian city of the dead. And Brother Illy could give you the knowledge on that. We have Brother Ilya Rashad Muhammad, a beautiful brother who also serves on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's research team.
Amazing.
He is an educator. He is a researcher. He is a UFologist.
Come on now.
Y'all didn't hear me.
Yeah, they didn't hear
I
you.
said a
They
UFologist.
ready.
Welcome to the show, Brother Rashad.
Yes, welcome.
Man, thank you. I'm extremely excited to be with you all. Brother Herman and Sister Vicky,
Yes.
just thank you for inviting me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for being here. You know, I have to say this very quickly before we get into the content of our show today. You know, when I first heard you live and in person, of course, I heard about you because I was following some of your stuff on YouTube and social media. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, who is this brother who's just breaking it down about UFOs from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Louis Farrakhan, certainly our messenger in our midst today, in the voice of God in our midst. And I thought, this man is absolutely brilliant. But when I got to hear you up close and in person and respond to you on radio, you were on Dr. Abel Muhammad's show, Brother Herman.
All right.
I was in the hospital. I was in St. Joseph Hospital for several days. It was my second time, Brother Ilya, being hospitalized. 6 months before that, I couldn't even walk. I had an infection in my hip. And you were on live, and I was able to get on, and you were talking about the UFOs. And they took my call while I was in the hospital, sir. And I heard your voice on
I remember that.
You remember that?
I remember that.
So Brother Herman, I heard his
Wow.
voice on the other end, and he was breaking it down about the UFOs. And Brother Herman, Brother Ilya, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna be quiet. Brother Herman had just dropped off the Final Call newspaper, and guess what article I was reading? Yours. You had just done an article about the UFOs and a situation that went down in California.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I certainly do appreciate those awfully kind words that you've shared about your brother. And I'll tell you, anyone who becomes exposed to this wisdom of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as being taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, it can take a fool like me and make him seem brilliant.
Right.
So I say all praise is due to Allah.
Wow. Wow.
You know, I'm one of those, like so many of our brothers, failed public school at least 3 times. You know, having to go to summer school just to graduate on time. You know, you take a brother like that to be exposed to the wisdom and guidance of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan to the point where your brother has world scholars running
Come on now.
away from the truth
Come on.
that we've been blessed to find and convey.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, let me say this, brother Rashad. This has been quite a journey, man, getting you on the show. And it's been quite a journey. Me even being here
Yes, it
for the
is.
show,
Praise
and
be to
sister, it's been quite a journey for Sister Vicky, encountering what she's encountered.
Yes, sir.
We were slated to have Brother
Akbar.
Student Minister Akbar
Yes.
Muhammad here, the international representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But unfortunately, we couldn't have him today because of the passing of our dear brother Louis Farrakhan Jr. In Phoenix, and so Brother Akbar had to make his janaza tomorrow, and it just would have been too difficult for him to do so. So it's an honor, man, to have you on, and it's Allah's will that we are here today.
Yes, sir.
And let me show a picture of our brother, not the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, of course, but let me show a picture of our brother Louis Jr., who passed away, and may Allah be pleased with him. Did you have any words for our brother?
Yes. Brother Louis Jr., as you've probably heard from all of those who've had encounters and with him, and those who knew him to be a most vibrant brother, a very beautiful soul, and funny as heck too.
Right.
I recall one of my first opportunities of being able to just really talk with him was several years ago when I was actually staying a weekend at a relative of the minister's home. And Louis Jr. would come by and just checking on everything because he was very family and nation oriented.
Right.
And I just remember striking up a conversation with him that ended up lasting probably almost 2 hours. And in this conversation, he was sharing with me many valuable experiences that he's had, close calls, of course, talking about the minister. And in that, as serious as the conversation was, he had a way of explaining things that would have me rolling.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, he could be expressive to make a point, and man, you know, little things like that that really just stuck with me.
Right.
You know, but what anybody that knew our brother would get from him, you would know that he is just a good brother.
Man, that's beautiful, brother.
You know,
Yes.
he has made so many sacrifices for our nation. He's made sacrifices on behalf of his family,
Yes, sir.
for our beloved minister.
Yes.
And so a brother like that will never be forgotten.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
Allah tells us that he wastes not the work of any of his workers.
Right.
And our brother has done a tremendous work on behalf of our people and our nation. And may Allah be pleased with our beloved brother, Louis Farrakhan Jr.
Yes, sir. May Allah be pleased,
Yes,
brother. May Allah
yes.
be pleased.
That's precious.
And of course, we're praying, of course, for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Mother Khadijah, and the
Yes.
entire Farrakhan family. Our heartfelt condolences go out. May Allah be pleased with our dear brother.
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes, indeed.
Now, before Sister Vicky gets into all of her questions, I just want to bring up the point that the latest final call.
Yes,
off
yes.
The chain.
And what is the final
And
call
the
again?
final
Excuse
call-
me, for those just don't know, brother.
Most widely circulated black-owned and operated publication in the world.
In the world.
And this week's edition is entitled "Black Proud and FBI Target." And we talked about this a few weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
With regards to the FBI's #1 enemies nowadays,
Come on.
which happen to be so-called black identity extremists.
Come on now. Come on now.
Brother Rashad, if you could just give us an understanding as to what the hell, oh, excuse me,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's all right.
You said it right.
a black
Okay.
identity extremist is, and why is he the #1 enemy
Whoa.
of the United States government?
My. Loaded.
You know, the FBI, the U.S. government, and those non-governmental bodies that influence these government agencies, all of them have been the greatest enemies and threats to black people's advancement.
Yes, sir.
That didn't start with the FBI. That started ever since America has been America.
Come on now.
Yes, sir.
And what we see through these FBI New Age counterintelligence program tactics are the same tactics, just in more sophisticated language. So now, instead of calling them black liberation or hate movements
Right.
that they called us in the 60s, now they call them black identity extremists.
Right.
Come on now.
Whatever the hell that is.
Right.
Right.
And when you look at the terminology, identity extremists.
Yes, sir.
So this kind of entails that if black people identify themselves outside of white approved identification,
Come on now.
Right.
then they are perceived as a threat. So this is just white supremacy being very blatant.
Right.
And I don't think that our people are going to fall for it
Come
as
on.
easy as we did in previous years and in previous decades, because there seems to be an enlightening taking place,
Right.
thanks to the voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And black people are
That's right.
starting to see past these little wicked tricks and
Right.
machinations that are used to cloud their racism under these noble names. Oh, we're fighting terrorism.
Right. Right.
We're going against this identity, black identity extremism.
Right.
Man, that's a bunch of crap, and everybody pretty much knows it.
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely. Well, let me read just a little something from the paper, brother
Yes.
brother Rashad, and then I'll get your thoughts on it. And this story appears on page 3 of this edition of the Final Call newspaper, and it's entitled "Black Targeted and Detained. Does strong black identity make you an extremist to the United States government?" The morning of Tuesday, December 12th, 2017, is one community activist and organizer, Rakeem Balagun, will always remember. It was about 6 a.m. when he and his son were awakened by a raid from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, along with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. He was arrested under the charge of unlawful possession of a firearm. Mr. Balagun, who is also known by his birth name, Christopher Daniel, says he owned all of his weapons lawfully. He was told he was under investigation for the past 2 years, and they had a warrant for illegal possession of the weapons. So brother got arrested for having weapons, but what it stemmed from, brother, was he was one of these activists who was in Dallas, armed, and in fact he's part of him and one of his brothers run an organization called the Huey Newton Gun Club, Huey Newton Gun Club, or something of that nature. But they caught him on tape. He was one of the brothers who came to the defense of Muhammad Mosque number 48 when the white supremacists rallied on the mosque,
Come on,
right?
man.
And him and a few of his brothers, you know, they got their weapons and they they ran them Cracker Jacks up out of there.
Now, what I'm curious to know, did they arrest any of those white supremacists
Come
that
on now.
promised to come up to our mosque?
Hey, you know,
Come
I
on,
remember
come
the
on
story.
now. Come on
And
now.
what happened was they called the police to protect the white supremacists after the brothers from the Huey P. Newton Gun Club and the Nation of Islam, you know what I'm saying, showed up and showed out.
Whoa.
You know, that's really an interesting story, because it's widely known that we in the Nation of Islam don't carry guns.
Right.
Yes, sir.
It's unethical for any follower in the Nation of Islam to carry or possess any of these type of carnal weapons. However, even though we don't carry weapons, many of our friends do.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because of the love that the Nation of Islam has put forth for our people,
Right.
and that is sometimes being reciprocated from our people.
Yes, sir.
When our people learn that these white supremacists were headed toward one of our mosques,
Right.
a peaceful mosque,
Peaceful.
where the believers are unarmed,
Right.
Yes, sir.
just trying to teach our people the truth that will make them free
Yes.
of this cracker.
That's right. That's
When
right.
our people heard that, they got together.
Right.
We didn't have to tell them, can you come protect us? No, it didn't work like that.
That's right.
Their love for us and their love for black people prompted them to come to our outside of our mosque to defend us from those white supremacists.
Yes, sir.
But now you see how the FBI is painting those brothers and sisters who stood up for their people as their enemy, but didn't do anything but support the white supremacists who are armed and still armed and dangerous.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And I'm showing a photo too right now, brother Rashad, of our brother Rakeem Bolligan. You know what the brother looks like and what he looks like when he got his weapons. And yeah, these white folks, they should be scared.
You know, Allah tells us in the Holy Quran that if we are steadfast, He'll send angels to protect us.
Yes, sir.
At a certain point, it even tells us that if we remain steadfast on our deen or in the right way, that Allah will send thousands of havoc-making angels
Right.
on our behalf.
Whoa.
Well, we don't believe in any spooks.
Right.
Yes, sir.
We believe these angels are people who are used by God.
Yes, sir.
And I think the incident just a few years ago where these armed brothers and sisters came to protect the unarmed brothers and sisters of the Nation of Islam.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
This is an example. These are angels
Angels.
that Allah sent
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
to
sir.
protect the believers.
Praise be to Allah.
Excellent point. Excellent
Beautiful.
point. Yes, sir. So we would love for you to get into this whole notion of so-called unidentified flying objects. And I would love for you, brother, my mother and I were reading together a scripture in Ezekiel chapter 1, where the prophet Ezekiel was speaking about these wheels. We know that the scripture through other prophets like Elisha and so forth talks about chariots. They talk about chariots of fire and other things. And I listened to a lecture of yours where you were breaking it down, gave us the etymology of one of those words, I believe, in the Hebrew, and I believe you even went to the Holy Quran and broke it down as well and connected some dots there. Is there a connection, we'd like to know, between what's written in Holy Scripture about these wheels and these so-called unidentified flying objects, and what in the world is the little Nation of Islam? Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and finally, Brother Ilya Rashad talking about what business is it of the Nation of Islam and its people to be chit-chatting about such things that one would think is beyond us to even know or to discuss, brother. Would you tell us?
Yes, all of those things are directly connected. The scriptures, the reality of these so-called UFOs, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, and certainly the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, sir.
And what's interesting is that it was the Nation of Islam that introduced this reality to the modern world.
Please repeat that.
But I'm going to say that again.
Please, sir.
And we prove it too.
Prove it, that no limit of time you do.
The
Yes, you
Nation
do.
of Islam introduced the reality of so-called UFOs to the modern world.
Wow.
there was no talk of UFOs or flying saucers or these disc-shaped craft. There were no mass sightings. There were no official governmental investigations. There were no widespread encounters until after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad introduced this information to the modern world.
Wow.
And it's so strange how for several decades the Nation of Islam was mocked, ridiculed, made fun of for this somewhat strange teaching. But the last 2 decades or so that this phenomena has become a bona fide reality, now all of the critics are all of a sudden silent as hell
Come on.
when it comes to criticizing the Nation of Islam in regard to this matter of so-called UFOs.
Come on now.
So we are calling out the scholars of the world. We're calling out the leaders of the world, whether it's academics, theology, science, you name it.
Yes.
They have been running from the truth that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan have been expounding for several decades now. And so we were blessed to compile research that vindicate, validate, show, and prove that what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, not just regarding these so-called planes, but the source of these planes.
Wow.
The source of the power behind these phenomenal crafts. And all of that points to the fact that Elijah Muhammad met God, Allah, the Supreme Being, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad.
Wow.
The reason why the world of scholarship avoids dealing with us on this subject is because it is virtually impossible to deal with us and not acknowledge the fact that Elijah Muhammad had to have encountered a supreme technology
Come on now.
and the supreme wisdom and power far beyond this world.
Praise be to Allah. And let me acknowledge a few of the people that we have online, Brother Rashad. We got Brother Darwin on, my sister Waletta, Peace Queen, my beautiful wife, Sister Tracy's in the building, Yellow Boy Yet, Brother Daniel, Walaikum Salam, and Sister Shantae, Peace Queen. And I just want to let the people online know that if you have any questions, you can type them in and we'll respond to them. You know what I'm saying? Because we got the brother on, and brother has he has a very unique knowledge. You know, in terms of the mother plane, man. You know, I rarely say anything about the mother plane, not because I don't believe in it, but I don't have a comprehensive knowledge. We have a brother who is a UFologist
Break it down now.
on the show, so he could tell us that. You know, these things aren't really from outer space.
Come on.
Like, this ain't Independence Day. Ain't nobody coming down, jumping out, looking like some lizards. That these are man-made crafts for an express purpose. So if you want to jump on and weigh in, definitely do that.
Yes, we definitely want to acknowledge our Instagram.
Like I said, this goes back to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad meeting the Supreme Being. And it was this God in person who literally showed Elijah Muhammad this craft, this huge wheel-shaped craft, half a mile by half a mile,
wow,
with its accompanying 1,500 smaller crafts. He was given the intricate details about these crafts, their purpose, where they were made, who they were made by, some of their capabilities, and all of this was done under the guidance of Master Farad Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
The planes didn't actually lift off until 1929.
Go ahead.
Break it down.
They were made right here on this earth,
Right.
Listen, listen.
made by people,
Right.
not aliens. And so this is one of the reasons why they don't want to deal with the Nation of Islam, because we have such a lucid, practical, unimpeachable teaching concerning God,
Right.
that you don't have to resort to spookism or some false, crazy interpretation of scriptures to make a point.
Yes.
No, Elijah Muhammad said that he met the supreme being, God in person, and brought proof and evidence concerning this encounter. Evidence that is shown in what they call UFOs, which are evidences of the workings of this God in person.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing. So tell us, what do you believe is the purpose of these so-called UFOs? But for the purposes of our show and from a spiritual perspective as well, we know that there are these wheels. What about that? Talk a little bit about that, about the wheels, and tell us a little bit about the purpose of these wheels.
The purposes have been foretold in the divine scriptures, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad fulfilled these scriptures by making it even plainer as to what these purposes are, because again, he was taught this information directly for the man responsible for these crafts.
Powerful.
The scriptures describe God and his angels operating from both the earth, but also from a heavenly vessel. A vessel described in some places as a New Jerusalem,
Come on now.
the city of the living God.
Go ahead, brother.
I know y'all don't get me preaching.
All
now.
right, y'all Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
It's called a
Hope.
New Jerusalem in some places.
Yes, sir.
The prophet Ezekiel saw it in a vision as being shaped like a wheel within a wheel
Come on now.
that contained God in a man form.
Wow.
You see?
Yes, sir.
And all throughout the scriptures, we see where God rescues and protects his servants from this heavenly vessel, described as a cloud by day or in a pillar of fire by night.
That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
We read about Elijah, the prophet, who, before being captured by his enemies, he was taken up
Come on now.
by God's fiery chariot in the whirlwind in the sky, which is why the world of Judaism awaits the return of this Elijah,
Right.
whose God operates from a heavenly vessel or chariot.
Come on now.
I don't know of anybody on this earth besides the Jews and the Nation of Islam who are awaiting Elijah, whose God is a man and operates on a mechanical vessel that travels in the sky.
My.
Come on.
So when we want to talk about God and be practical about it, a God that can be proven in the real world,
The real world.
that's not limited to somebody's interpretation of scripture,
Right.
not limited to an opinion, but legitimately his power and the evidence and proof of his power has been seen and encountered in the real world.
Right.
See, that's the God of the Nation of Islam
Come
right
on
there.
now. Come on now. Come
Yes,
on
sir.
now.
And that's why we don't have to carry guns.
Come
Right.
on. Woo! Look now. Please repeat that. Please repeat that.
That's why the Nation of Islam, we don't carry guns
That's
Wow.
and
right.
weapons of that matter.
That's right.
Wow.
Even though the Nation of Islam has the most powerful enemies in the world,
In the world.
the
Absolutely.
Satanic Jew,
Come on now.
who have their tentacles around governments all over this earth. The U.S. government that has a bona fide track record of attacking black people.
Bonafide
Yes, sir.
track.
That's
record.
our enemy.
Yes, sir.
But yet, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is unarmed and exposes the world's superpowers
Right.
in the belly of the beast
Ooh-wee.
with no guns.
Come on now.
And when he tells you that he is backed by a real power,
A real power.
a God who operates from this wheel,
Right. Teach, brother.
disprove him.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
All right, you brought it up. We gotta
I told
switch.
y'all don't be trying to get me to
We
preach around
gotta
here,
we
man.
gotta switch gears a little bit,
I'm
brother.
trying
We
to be
go.
all professorial and educational and all of that, man. Y'all got me over
Hey
here.
man, we about to get loose, man.
Okay. Look, now, we already talked about the fact that I'm from Mississippi and you from Tennessee. Go on, let that Mississippi, go on, let that deep South out.
So look, brother Rashad, we had just on this May 27th, man.
Oh my goodness.
And it really started, the real firestorm started right after Savior's Day 2018.
That's right.
But just this May 27th, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan reiterated
Oh my goodness.
the difference between the good Jew
Come on.
and the so-called wicked and satanic Jew.
Okay.
And you know, brother, I have to tell you, man, you've always been one who's close to my heart because they damn near banned you from YouTube for a video you just put out.
That's the truth.
Where you went in on the satanic Hollywood Jew.
Come on now. What's the name of that Hollywood series Brother Herman is called? The Freaks in Hollywood?
What was it called?
The Freaks.
Man.
Freaks of the industry.
Freaks of the industry. Brother, tell us a little bit about the freaks of the industry,
Please do.
the satanic Jew, and that one that you just described who got his tentacles wrapped around the whole world.
The world.
It's true. It's true. And the same satanic Jew, not the true Jews who strive to live according to righteous conduct and the laws, statutes, and commandments of the prophets sent to Israel.
Right.
But there are those who call themselves Jews and are not.
That's
They're
right.
not.
And they are liars.
Right.
These are what the scriptures refer to as the synagogue of Satan.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's these who have their tentacles wrapped around governments, financial institutions, media, Hollywood, education, information. So much so that anybody or anything that starts to expose their wrongdoing, they work very quickly to shut it down.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So when I posted that video, which by the way was 100% correct,
Right.
Yes, sir.
historically,
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
but you'll notice that the Jewish stronghold of the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, and others, they are working with all of the social media platforms, Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and they are coercing these social media platforms to ban any information that really exposes their wrongdoing.
Right.
Come on now.
They've manipulated the Twitter feeds of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, the followers of his,
Listen.
those of us who follow him, who post related content on his behalf. They've shut down some of our videos so quickly
Right.
with no justification.
Right.
Come on now.
They just make the claim that it's offensive. They don't acknowledge the fact that it's historically accurate.
Right.
They don't even challenge the authenticity of what we're providing and what we're citing
That's key.
because they know it's the truth.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
But they use their leveraging power in social media, in banking, in politics,
Come on.
in law,
Religion.
in education,
Yes.
to silence the voice of those like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan,
Right.
who is freeing our people by exposing who their open enemy is.
That's right.
Whoa.
See, this is what Jesus said when he said, know the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
Come on now.
See, it's not just any kind of truth that can free you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I can tell the people that 2 + 2 = 4.
Right.
That's the truth.
Right.
But that's not going to free you.
Right.
Yes, sir.
In order to tell a truth that can free our people, that truth has to expose who the enemy of our people is,
Whoa.
and it has to expose the truth of the God that has our back in this fight against our open enemies.
Now, I need you to say...
And when you deal with that truth, that's when you're dealing with the Nation of Islam,
Come on now.
who offer not just a belief in God, but the knowledge of God.
Right.
Whoa.
I'll say that again.
Whoa.
That's powerful, brother.
All folks in religion and the spirituality, they can offer a belief in God, but what distinguishes the Nation of Islam is what we offer is the knowledge of God.
Right.
Wow.
His very identity,
Mm.
along with his divine will and the knowledge of the time and what must be done.
Yes, sir.
Ooh,
Yes, sir.
that is powerful. That is powerful. And even the part where you just said about the God that backs us, that is such a big deal. And I'm thinking about 2 points here. If you would just briefly respond to it. Our brother Ilya, you weren't here, but of course, I did a brief series. We were talking about the power of prayer and how everything is energy. We, of course, got a little bit into the E = MC², and of course we've learned now through quantum physics, quantum mechanics, that even though we can't see anything, see everything on the visible spectrum, it does not mean it doesn't exist. It is actually a type of matter, and that even if we were, for example, to with a microscope look at this solid table that's in front of me now on a subatomic level, they would find that it's still things spinning, moving, energy. But it can't necessarily be seen. And I say all that to say about their realities that exists, that we, as the original man, especially the original man, of course, has direct connection and control of, and directly or indirectly related to. And it was an interesting series about prayer, brother, that I did. And one of the things we talked about was how there was a such thing as air traffic control. And you know, the scripture tell us, Brother Herman, you know this in Chronicles, that if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray, right? Seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sins, heal their lands, right? So we find that there was a connection between what? Ground control and air control, right? There was a connection between the two. Whether we can see it on the visible spectrum or not, these things are real, and they're proving it in science, as we would say, in no limit of time. But one of the things related to the wheels that I thought was interesting, and could this be a threat, and why the government works so hard to suppress this information, suppress the influence of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I want you to talk to us about what happened quickly in California, if you would, in the 20th century, the early 20th century. But there was a such thing in the military that's called air supremacy. And air supremacy is a position in war where a side holds complete control of air warfare and air power over opposing forces. And this is defined by NATO and the United States Department of Defense. And it's the degree of air superiority wherein the opposing air force is incapable of effective interference. Now, with that in mind, and that's just something that, you know, I was studying out and connecting with prayer and so forth, and expanded it when I dealt with the realities of these wills, especially as you were breaking it down. I began to study this over the last several months. What took place, would you tell us briefly, in the early 20th century in California that maybe some folks don't know about, and why did they detain the Honorable Elijah Muhammad connected to it?
Yes. And thank you for that too, Sister Vicky. It's powerful stuff right there.
Vicky heavy, man.
You know, and yeah, it's just heavy, man. But we find that today in modern warfare, people are still fighting over airspace because the white man in particular, he feels as though he is the ruler of the heavens and the earth.
Right.
Come on.
And he tries to control not only the earth, that he has dominated and subverted the darker people.
Come on.
But he's even attempted to take his so-called supremacy into the heavens.
Come on now.
And Allah tells us about this in the Holy Quran, where Allah tells us that he will allow Satan, Shaitan.
Break it down.
And matter of fact, that part where it talks about Satan is in the plural sense. So he will allow a satanic people to peek into heavens as they try to spy on his exalted assembly.
Let me calm down. Oh my goodness.
And Allah in the Holy Quran tells us that he will allow Satan to peek into his heavens to a degree. But afterwards, Satan will be chased by a fiery flame, a darting flame.
Wow.
This is good. This is good.
What a mighty God.
What a mighty God we serve. Indeed.
Well, when the so-called UFO phenomenon hit America, as the U.S. military started to encounter and witness these crafts, one of the huge ones was in 1942, February 25th of 1942.
Wow.
Significant date too, February 25th. But it was off the coast of Los Angeles.
Yes, sir.
Where a huge wheel-shaped craft, accompanied by a few other smaller circular crafts, approached just off the coast of Los Angeles.
Yes, sir.
And this alarmed the U.S. Armed Forces, who went to try crafts, and they fired. I don't know if you can hear me right now.
It sounds like a little.
Yeah, we got a little interference.
I don't know if y'all can hear me.
Let's see. What's?
It might be the internet.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be the man.
Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we got a little interference.
Yeah, there's a little interference.
Oh, go ahead. Say something else, brother.
We're testing you again, brother. Brother Rashad?
Yes, that's Satanic Jew.
Oh, my goodness.
That's Satanic Jew,
oh,
brother.
my goodness. Now, look, we've been going this
Yeah, we've been going good.
whole time.
It's something wrong with the internet connection. Because, hold on. Oh, you know what?
Family, we stay with us. We're trying to work out these little technicalities with our brother Ilya Rashad on the line, the foremost expert on the subject, ufologist, with us right now here with On Purpose with Vicky Radio Podcast and Final Call News Hour. So just hang on.
Go ahead, say something, Brother Rashad. Yeah, we got
Brother Rashad.
Yeah, we're losing the.
We're losing. Okay, is it? Do you think it's connected?
No, it's something with the internet connection. It says it's reconnecting now, but.
If not, Brother Rashad, if it's possible, is it possible for him to call in then?
He can. He can call in.
Brother Rashad, if you can, could you call into the number?
Just.
That we provided to you. 303.
Alright, fam, we having a few little technical difficulties. Brother's going so hard on the enemy that
Okay. My goodness.
He's like, cut this out right now.
Okay.
Listen, I want to tell you while we wait for brother to call us back.
Yes.
We're getting it right now. Hold on.
This is good stuff, family. Brother talking about the government, talking about the satanic Jews, not the righteous ones, but the satanic one, talking about UFOs and the wheels.
Hold on.
Boy, oh boy. We're trying to get him back right now. This is good stuff. And the significance of the black man and the black woman in America. And the voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And the teachings that his teacher the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad received from God in person. Big stuff. Big stuff. And Brother Ilyard, in the event that you're unable to get through on that line, feel free to call the number.
Yeah, you could definitely call. And
Okay. So Brother Ilyard, I text you the number to call into. So please call into that number, and we will hook you up as best we can, Brother
so
Ilyard.
stand by, family.
Yes.
Again, if you're still, I hope we're all tuned in, but I just want to make
Here
sure
goes.
that we
Let's
pick
try
up the
this.
latest Final Call newspaper,
Yes.
which is
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
all right. So we got
Brother you back on this phone line. Thank you so much. Had some interference there, brother.
Awesome.
Yes, but we don't want to lose any time with you that we have right now. But so go ahead and pick up where you left off, brother.
I think the sound started to go off when I was talking about what's become known as the Battle of Los Angeles.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Where the U.S. Armed Forces literally encountered the same wheels that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad introduced to the world.
Come on.
It was a big thing. February 25th, 1942. So much so that initially the U.S. Armed Forces and U.S. intelligence thought that it was a foreign power, perhaps Japan or Germany or some one outside of the Allied forces. And this was tremendous concern because they had never witnessed craft of that type of superiority. Because they had fired over 1,400 rounds of artillery at the craft, the huge craft, and the big craft did not move one bit, to show that this was a clearly far superior object controlled by much higher and superior technology.
Whoa.
Needless to say, the government underwent a tremendous investigation to try to find out the source of this tower. After realizing that it could not have been Germany, it could not have been Japan, or any of the conventional countries, the only thing that the government had to go by was a little black man who was the only person teaching on the reality of these claims, and everything that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught added up directly to what they encountered over Los Angeles.
Come on now.
The FBI, from an executive request, the FBI arrested the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and they questioned him not about a true God, not about a belief in some spiritual angel. They questioned him about the truth of his God in the form of what he called UFOs.
Right.
They admitted to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that they had encountered and seen this craft, and they questioned him about it. And not only did they question him, but they confiscated many of his drawings and illustrations concerning the wheel from the mosque. They locked him up for 5 or more years without even a trial, for the specific purposes of making sure that he is not teaching this kind of truth while America was prosecuting a war.
Wow.
So this is the official beginning of the so-called UFO investigations and phenomenon. All of this came after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was shown and given the intricate details about these crafts directly from God in person.
My.
Yes, sir.
That is powerful, so powerful. And even our beautifully educated IG Instagram family, one of our brothers, DX Muhammad 1, is putting on here. He put on there the Battle of Los Angeles, 1942, as well as the UFO sightings in Washington, D.C. in 1952. This is so amazing. But how wonderful it is to know that this craft, this superior technology, this one that appears to have air supremacy over all other ones, and apparently that threatens the sovereignty of the most powerful nation on the planet. because she
That's
can't
right.
control it, or and so forth. What does that say about how special we are as a people? And what does this have to do, perhaps, with us being special to God, being the true chosen people, connected to those wicked Jews and those that the Apostle John describes in the book of Revelation by Jesus, those that say they are Jews and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan? What would you say about that interconnection, perhaps?
Man, that's so huge right there, because the reality of these wills, these claims, is clear evidence and proof of the messianic fulfillment. See, all throughout the scripture, it gives these prophecies of God saving his people, using his vessels, using his angels, who also operate the smaller vessels. These are people, by the way, whom the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called scientists. These are no spooky aliens or anything like that. They're human beings, original people.
Yes.
They just happen to have been taught by under the tutelage of God himself. They are not corrupted by this world's education and information the way many of us have become.
Wow.
And it's these people who, on behalf of Allah, operate many of the smaller planes and actually help operate and occupy the huge mother wheel, or that New Jerusalem, the city of the living God.
My.
But this is proof. The reality of these claims is proof that Elijah Muhammad met the supreme being, just as the scriptures foretell. It's proof of the Messianic age, because what the Jewish scholars know in particular is that God's worship that they call Merkabah, God's prophesied worship, is a direct, clear indicator of God's presence and who his Messiah is.
Wow.
And this is mentioned in the Holy Quran too. In the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Jinn, that's the 72nd surah, it talks about how Allah, who is the knower of the unseen, that he would reveal his secrets to a messenger whom he chooses. So God, to prove his power and to prove who he is and to prove who his chosen messenger is, he would reveal certain secrets to a messenger, and once those secrets become evident, then it gives clear proof that this man actually is his messenger and was taught by God.
Wow.
This is what the scholars continue to avoid. This is why they avoid having a real scholarly conversation about Minister Farrakhan, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Nation of Islam's connection to what they call UFOs, because there's really no room for doubt. This is a conversation that, like I mentioned earlier, can be proven in the real world.
Yes.
And since this is something that can be proven, most of the scholarship of this world, that's a hard pill for them to swallow.
Yes.
To have to admit with empirical data that Elijah Muhammad had to have met the Supreme Being. Even if you don't believe in God, even if you don't believe in religion,
come on,
just based on the facts, you would have to say that Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam introduced what is obviously the most superior technology that this world has ever witnessed.
Come on now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So there's no way you can run around it.
Yes.
And that's why they've been avoiding us.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And brother, the enemy really don't want to hear what you got to say, brother, as evidenced by what just happened.
Okay.
And luckily we had a little backup.
That's right. Yes, sir.
To let the people hear this truth.
Real.
Brother Markland Muhammad on Facebook said that in 1964 a UFO destroyed a U.S. launched missile as well. So there's evidence that these wills exist and that they are on the side of the original people.
Come on.
And I'm just looking at the time and thinking, where did they
Go exactly. Already an hour. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yes, because we're simulcasting our shows together, and our beautiful Final Call News Hour podcast we're at the end of that show, so we're going to close out our show today at this hour. But we want to end it, brother, with you adding anything else that's on your heart. But one of those things I was going to ask you to comment on, if you would, what were your thoughts about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's most recent address in Chicago just last month? What were your thoughts about that?
Yeah.
I mean, talk about the man of sin's clothes being snatched all the way off.
Right.
I mean, what in the world?
As always, especially the way he put it, I mean, it's undeniable. The minister put forth divine wisdom and guidance, accompanied by supporting facts and evidence. When he shared information, he made a clear distinction between good Jews and the bad Satanic ones. He recalled the fact that it's the Satanic ones who actually have influence over Hollywood and the entertainment industry, and how they use their influence in a wicked, surreptitious way. And there's nobody that can deny this. But you'll notice that the minister was very professorial in his delivery of this particular lecture. It was like we were in a classroom,
Right.
by being taught by the master teacher. Who he didn't offer, he wasn't saying this stuff with hate, but what he was doing was fulfilling his messianic role,
Yes,
which
sir.
is partly to expose the man of sin, particularly the synagogue of Satan.
Whoa.
There's a reason why other leaders don't have the gall and the audacity to withstand the stronghold the way that Mr. Farrakhan is. That's because they don't have his divine job.
Wow.
They know what he's saying is true, but what Minister Farrakhan is doing is not something that any average person can do.
That's right.
That's a job description reserved for the Messiah.
Right.
Whoa. Whoa. That's powerful.
Hint, hint, hint.
Hint, hint, yes, sir.
Absolutely.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Do you have a T-shirt there that you wanted to show us?
You know what? I did. But first, before I do that, I just want to thank Brother Rashad for coming on, man.
yes.
It's been an honor. You know, it's always good, man, when I talk to my brother, always. And
Indeed.
you know, and to take that time out to share with us what you have learned
My
of the
goodness.
teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad
Yes.
and his star student, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So like Sister Vicky said, Brother Rashad, I'm about to get out. I got some other things that I gotta do. I do's it all, brother.
Yeah, he did.
I cut
Okay,
hair,
he did.
I
I
teach
promise you.
Islam.
Okay.
I do internet podcasts.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
A husband and a father.
Come
you know,
on.
the FOI is the true Superman.
You-
know
you-
what I'm saying?
okay,
They're looking
please
for a
say
dude
it. No doubt.
in a
doubt.
cape. They need to be looking for a dude in a suit and a bow tie.
I know this. Come on, say that again. I bear witness. The brothers are the
But I
best.
wanted to say before we get out of here, Brother Rashad, I just want to make sure that everybody has your information.
Yes.
That they can reach you, and it's been on the screen the whole time. They can reach you at www.nationbrothers.com to get some books and some scholarship. They can
Yes.
also reach Brother Rashad at Ilya Rashad on Instagram and Twitter. Is there any other place that they can reach you, brother, or anything that you want to push or sell? Because we also are a black economic engine in and of ourselves.
Say that.
We know that we got to do for self. This podcast is being brought to you by black people.
Come on now. Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on.
We ain't getting no grant money.
Come on.
We don't get nothing from the enemy. The Final Call newspaper
That's right.
is, like we said before, independently owned and operated by black people for black people,
People,
for all
yes.
oppressed people. When we say black
Oh, yeah.
people, we don't mean just black people. We mean black people because black, according to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, is not a color, it's universal.
That's right.
So
yes.
when we say that this is an all black broadcast, we mean that.
We mean that. Absolutely.
So is there anything you want to say, brother, before we get up out of here?
Oh, brother, I just thank you all so much. Sister Vicky, you have been just a joy. We thank Allah for you.
Praise be to
Brother
Allah.
Herman,
Yes,
it's always a pleasure whenever I get the opportunity to run into you, man.
Yes.
So let's make sure we all stay in contact and you all keep doing what you're doing. And again, I'm so honored to have been able to share just a little of what we've been blessed to learn from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and just the wisdom of the Nation of Islam and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Thank you so much.
But just before you go, can we get you? And I know I got you on the spot here, and I'm doing this on purpose. Allah forgive me. Would you? Would you promise us you'll come back soon?
Indeed. For you all anytime, you know it.
Oh, we're happy to hear that. So now I feel good because he's you thunder and lightning, right? You and brother, other scholar, brother Demetri, thank you. The
dynamic duo, real dynamic duo.
That's right. That's right.
Praise be to Allah.
We will we'll be in touch, brother. Thank you so much, and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Love you all.
Love you,
sir.
back.
Love you too, brother. And let me say, man, it was an honor to have our big brother on. Praise be to Allah.
Yes.
Now, before we get up out of here,
yes,
I gotta do some housework.
Come on now.
Because we, like I said, this is an all-black economic broadcast.
Yes.
So what I want you all to do, if you want to continue seeing shows like this, and if you want us to establish an economic reality of our own, which is what we can and must do.
Must do.
This is what I want you to do. I want you to go to www.astar2.com, and you could go to the NOI Denver Study Group page and click donate. And donate any amount over $20.
Okay. Yes, sir.
But we're trying to raise. See, I have a beautiful flyer here, but it's blank in terms of the address because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a piece of property that we can call our own.
Yes,
we're
sir.
trying to have some economic development, and we don't want to rent. We want to actually buy the property.
Yes, sir.
So we're trying. The goal is $100,000. Now, what we've come up with, fam, is we've come up with these beautiful T-shirts, and let me see if I can show you.
Yes,
it's the same as that
nice.
Little thing in the corner.
Yes, very nice.
Bam! Bam!
Yes.
So anybody who donates a donation
nice.
over $20,
yes,
you get a T-shirt. But so just go to astar2.com and make sure you make a donation, and then hit me up so that I know, and I'll make sure that you get your T-shirt. This T-shirt is for our beautiful sister and co-host sister.
Oh my goodness!
That's for her. She got made her donation.
Yay! Talk about let's make a deal.
So listen, fam, we love y'all, man. Remember, look.
Thank you.
Praise be to Allah. We love y'all. Remember, stay black, stay strong. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Come on now.
Tune in next time. We got next? Brother Marcus.
Brother Marcus, yes, sir. Brother Marcus, and perhaps his wife, Sister Cecilia, may be joining. We also have coming up our beautiful sister, Queen Nazinga. She will be on a young sister out of, is it Rochester? So anyway, she should be with us pretty soon. And Brother Demetri Muhammad's coming back this month. That's the 21st, I believe it is. I'm sorry, fam, I don't have my calendar on me right now. But we just stay tuned to onpurposewithvicky.com, our website, as well as go to our, just hit us up at On Purpose with Vicky. You can hashtag that or Vicky Dillard, and you can follow us there with the dates of our guests. So we've got some other folks coming, but I'm going to keep that quiet because they're confirming the date. But how can we get any better than this? I mean, isn't this just absolutely amazing?
Awesome. Praise be to Allah. And y'all follow me on social media. Go to Herman Supreme Star Muhammad on Facebook. Or are you on Facebook? So you should. Or go to @Brother Herman on Instagram or Twitter, man. Look, we love y'all.
Yes, we do.
We'll see y'all next time.
Yes.
Stay black. Stay strong.
Yes.
We out.
We out. Always live on purpose.
properly informed. This is why this world wants to control the media. This is why media hype can take you up, take you down. So you don't know anymore who's really good, because the media can make a wicked man look good and make a good man look evil. That is why.
Until the dawn, I can't quit. I'm like Saddam, keeping my eye on Clinton, watching each move he makes. Cause every slither he takes sort of reminds